Are you wasting your time and money on inefficiencies in the business? Are sales down and lead conversion rates are low? Are you having problems building or maintaining inventory levels? What does it really take to win in the automotive industry?
Get the cars that make sense for your store rather than just wishing at an auction. So it gives you that better control.
With over 25 years of experience, Darrell the Wolf Steed isn't just another industry voice. He's the guy who's out there solving real problems for dealers just like you.
They'll even say in the Pacific Northwest where you're at that it's a tougher market. It's, it's tougher to find cars. The market's a little bit softer. And in the midst of all this, your turn doubled and your profit's up 75%.
Yes.
The truth hurts only when it should. Are you ready to hear the truths? Darrell is here to unpack the hard truths and the proven strategies that will take your dealership from struggling to soaring. And he is taking it all in the streets, with real talk, open dialogue, unfiltered conversations. This is the podcast series, Street Smarts, powered by Smartwolf Consulting.
Welcome back, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of Street Smarts, powered by Smartwolf Consulting. We've got a brand new background. Let's take a look at this. So today, you guys, wanted to talk about a couple of things because I wanted to get you guys into what's coming next, right? And thinking about what's coming next. And simply put, you guys, the automotive space is in a unique time to re-innovate or to take charge of our own business. Some of you guys may have heard about, everyone's been doing a show on like Carmax and the changes that are there and the CEO stepping down or getting fired. And I think it's interesting because now we all want to go back and look at it. And like, is Carmax dead? Is they not dead? And like, can we learn from their business plan or the mistakes maybe they made? And Carvana is, doing all these great things. And at the end of the day, okay, it's time for you to stop. It's time to stop the bullshit, guys. It's time for you guys to actually do something. What we want to do is we constantly want to go back and look at something and we want to copy it. Well, you can't copy something if you want to innovate. Innovation takes somebody doing something first. Okay. So the first buying centers for dealerships, they were innovators. Okay. They were challenging the market. Every time we want to sit there and discuss what other people are doing and then we want to make it our own. No, we're just copying something. And either you're going to have a short runway or you're going to fail because you didn't put in any of the time or effort. Now, the reason I start so hot, you guys, and want to drop some of that street smarts on you is the simple fact is everyone's capable of doing something and being just as good, if not better than what's out there. But you have to jump in there and you've got to get in the trenches. So all these so-called coaches and consultants that tell you they've got the strategy and they can help you do this or some magical software that's going to do it for you, stop. Guys, listen, there ain't no magic button to this thing, okay? It's been around now for 15 years as acquisition strategies. CarMax was around for longer than that, acquiring cars. And there was no magic button. It was hard work. It was creating an experience, creating trust and loyalty. So if you want to take anything away from kind of the rocky road that CarMax has faced and now they're having to make some adjustments, they're evolving. I have every faith in the world that CarMax is going to take what they built and what they did well, and they're going to evolve and they're going to come out with something maybe not better, but just as effective in a new and different way because they innovate, they challenge. They disrupted the market like nothing any franchise store has ever done in history with their disruption to the market and becoming used car supercenters. Carvana took it one step further and became an even bigger disruption and then an even bigger implosion, right? And then they acquired the auction and now maybe they've stabilized it or maybe they haven't. Maybe it's a bunch of fugazi because they're backed up by bridge financing with a bank. We don't know exactly what it is, but it looks like it's working. Okay, so you take Carvana out of the picture and everybody that deals in brick and mortar, and even Carvana's got into that a little bit, and it takes work. Everybody thinks they're entitled to going out there and doing something and that they don't have to work for it. Well, you do. You have to work for it. It takes time. Nothing you're going to create is going to magically happen. So all these AI operations that say, oh, the AI, it's just going to do it for you. No, it's not. No, it's not. I'll be the first one to say it. Okay. And you guys can sit there and say like, oh, he's anti-AI. No, I'm not anti-AI. Actually, I've got a lot of conversations going with AI. But AI is something that makes us more efficient. It doesn't replace us. If there is no easy button, there is no shortcut. It's an efficiency tool, not a replacement. But more importantly, you guys, let's get back to it and talking about, let's build something that you can actually sustain for yourself. So yeah, that means we're going to have to put in a little grit, a little effort, right? Which means that we're going to have to, like, you're going to have to bring somebody in. You're going to have to get a coach, man. Michael Jordan had a coach, right? Andre Agassi had a coach. All the greats have a coach. Why? Because they want iron to sharpen iron. They want a different perspective. They want that challenge. Now, you might have your fan club. You might have your entourage that pumps rainbows up your ass to make you feel good about life, but that's not a coach. A coach is the one that challenges you, holds you accountable, and keeps you where you're going. And you need somebody that knows what they're doing, right? And that's why I bring street smarts to people and Smartwolf Consulting, because I'm the best in the business when it comes to creating these acquisition strategies, because I'm consistently innovating, not just pumping out the same stuff. You guys, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but there's a lot of big companies out there, big companies that are still training the same tired shit that was trained 10 years ago. Same scripts, same one-liners. If that isn't complacency and ignorance wrapped up all in one, I don't know what is. I know some coaches and consultants that have the same word tracks from 2011 and think they're still effective. They're not. Just because you sell them with a lot of energy and exuberance does not make them effective. It makes whoever's buying them kind of a sucker. Okay, but it doesn't make them effective. We constantly have to be pushing the envelope and finding different ways to do that. But how we do that is putting in the time and effort. So specifically talking about like acquisition and used car strategies, if you're not a trusted resource to take your used car to, which the automotive dealership environment, franchises and some, there are, I would give, let's say, you know what, we'll say 5% of the stores in the country have a deep trust in their community that they wanted to go to them for all things, acquisition, sales, service, parts, the whole jam. The other 95%, you'll be lucky if they trust you to do one thing, which would be service. And it's usually because you're there, you're local, you're convenient. We don't have the trust of it. If we had the trust in acquisition and used cars, people would always trade their car in. They'd never look to sell it separately. So when we think about that, stop looking to Carmax and like, oh, what can we learn from them? We can learn, okay, that they disrupted a market. They had a strong process and they built trust in the community. Now let's talk about why some of these things have shaken out, why some of these tools aren't as effective anymore, and how we can actually become better. Okay, solutions that I bring to the table or that I coach, and I want to talk directly about those because I think that'll help you guys right now. So let's talk about like instant cash offers. It doesn't matter which brand you're using. You can use KBB, you can use Car Gurus, you can use Edmunds, you can use any of these tools that like create an instant cash offer. Well, simply put, you guys, they get an instant cash offer. And way back in the day with Buy Book Technologies and Trade-in Marketplace, okay, absolutely genius disruption of the market with Hollinshead. Okay, he brought it to the market and he was like, we're going to put an offer on this. And it was absolutely genius. Why? Because no one was doing it. No one thought to do this. No one had any type of validation techniques. We were still using the Foursquare and basically doing really silly manipulative tactics. But he brings this tool to the market, eventually acquires by Auto Trader, calls it Trade-in Marketplace, and then eventually acquired by KBB and KB Instant Cash Offers. And everybody's kind of bled off of that model. Okay, everyone's created their own tool, but they were the innovators, right? Buy Book Technologies and Trade-in Marketplace. And the reason it worked is because it gave people a sounding board or a number that was not a dealership. It was a complete separation of church and state. Okay, something that someone could go get that didn't come from a dealer because dealers were not trustworthy. They still aren't in the public opinion. If you didn't believe that, okay, go look. We're the second or third least trusted position for automobile salespeople in America, 15 years running. Politicians and lawyers, that's where we rate. And we all know where those people belong, right? So when we think about this, you guys, is that we had this offer. And then you didn't really have to work. I mean, it was kind of like fishing with dynamite. You like people had this number, you had them come in. It was kind of easy peasy. You inspected the car. Then more competition got out there. More noise got out there. More people were doing this. CarMax became even easier. Okay. And this is all pre-Carvana. Carvana comes in way later into this conversation. And the simple fact is then you have the Carvanas that come in and disrupt. And this is what we've done as dealers. We didn't want to innovate. We didn't want to get a coach or a consultant that understood what they were doing or spent time in figuring out acquisition and really surgically doing it. No. Why would we want to do that? No. We wanted to go ahead and shortcut every possible situation and let other people create a trusted value proposition. And then we would just say we would beat it. Because why would we want to create an experience? Why would we want to create any type of dynamic of getting customers to us when we can let someone else do that? And some might even say that that's a smart business plan. Let them do it and then just pay a little bit more. It's cheaper than advertising. Well, in theory, it is. And then we get to what we call the long-term effect. And this is where that theory gets blown out of the water. You've been saying you'll pay more, it could be worth more, and you give the hope for gain. And this is the nonsense that was trained with ICO. Okay, with every other tool for years. Actually, I think it's still the same training. I just saw one last week. It's the same exact stuff when I was with KBB ICO that we trained back in 15 and 16. They're still training. Mind-blowing that we're still training the same exact stuff 10 years later. However, here's what has now happened, you guys. We have Carmax who gave it a take it or leave it offer. They had their little yellow and blue certificate, right? You get it and boom, it's validated. People started faking those and trying to manipulate those. And so then they went to an online thing. So you have them online and you had them in person. Then we have the ICOs of the world, the instant cash offers. And we just kept telling people a car could be worth more because that was the shortcut. And I'm not going to sit there and everyone says bad. Like that was the training that we did. And about 8 years ago, I realized that wasn't going to work for very much longer. And this is why. So if KBB is the most recognized brand, notice I didn't say most trusted brand because I don't think they're the most trusted brand anymore. I think they were the most trusted brand for a better part of probably 85 years, maybe even 90. Now they're approaching 100 years old. And herein lies the problem, you guys, is they can't be the most trusted brand anymore because for the last 10, if not 15 years, we've been telling people, okay, well, since 2011, when it became KBB ICO, okay, we've been telling people that their car is worth more than the KBB value. Here's your KBB instant cash offer. And then we immediately say, without even thinking about it, your car is worth more. KBB's wrong. So because of the training that they actually told dealers to use, they've devalued their own brand. Because we're like, okay, well, if KBB is not a good value, it's not a trusted value, then how do they stay trusted? They don't. They're the most relevant. They're the most sought after because it's a good starting point, but that's what it is. It's no longer a trusted value. It's a starting offer. So they don't really believe that's the value of their car. They just go, okay, if that's the starting offer, how much more can I get? And it becomes a race to the money. And this is where dealers have found themselves in some tumultuous times. And this is why we've seen used car compression constantly getting tighter and tighter and tighter. It's because simply put, you guys, we are not addressing the real issues. We are not building brands. We are not building trust. We are not building experience. We're not training our people to actually create an experience customers want to come to, enjoy, engage in, and are willing to pay for. COVID didn't help. That made actually any chance of us like maybe possibly having like, a step back into the ability to be able to create these connections even worse because we became order takers in every sense of the word because there was a supply and demand problem. So it was like, go here, press hard, sign 3 copies. We have the car. There was no negotiating, but now we're done with all that. Okay. COVID's gone. Okay. Skill sets are gone. Hard work, that's out. Well, you're going to have to bring it back, guys. You're going to have to get in the trenches. If you guys are looking for a job and you want some 30-hour-a-week job and you want to make 10 grand a month, best of luck. Okay. That's not the automotive industry. Okay. I've made considerable amount of monies in the automotive industry, and it really came down to 2 things. Okay. Following a process, doing things consistently, and working harder than anybody else. Now, am I saying that there's not jobs out there that you can work less and really create a book of business and like get it running for you? Yeah. But all these people, if you go and talk to them that are like, man, I work like 4 hours a day and I sell like 40 cars a month. Yeah, they didn't start out that way. Okay. They've taken time to build that up to where now they're on the gravy train with biscuit wheels, right? They didn't start out that way, or they embraced something that innovated or disrupted the market like social media or working the service drive years ago. I remember working with a salesperson, and we're talking back in 2010, maybe, that was doing service drive, upgrade and acquisition before it was a thing. Before, like, I mean, some stores were doing it, but like this store didn't have it. He just did it. Came in at 7, worked the service drive. He left at noon. This guy sold 35 cars a month, every single month. So he realized that there was a different way to do it, and he embraced it. And then he was consistent to it. And so then he was able to work the schedule he wanted to work. So the reason I wanted to jump on here, you guys, and drop some of the street smarts and let you guys know Smartwolf Consulting is here to help is we've got to stop looking and trying to figure out ways to copy people, and we've got to start putting in the time, the effort, the work, and earn. Let me repeat that, you guys. We need to put in the time, the effort, and the work to earn the respect and trust of the community to where you're entitled to make profit. You think you're entitled to make profit on cars now, and you're not when you acquire them. You're like, I want to buy cars for way cheap, and then I want to sell them for way high. You haven't earned that right. Carmax, they make money. Carvana earns money. They've also spent billions of dollars to earn that trust, and they've done it over time. You think you get to just come into the party late because you didn't want to do anything, and then you're going to be like, oh, I can buy cars for that. I can do. No, you can't. Not with any success, not for any longevity, not with any consistency. You might buy the occasional car here or there. But if you want a consistent plan, it's time to make it a focus. It's time to make it something that you actually adapt to, adopt, and create the environment and culture of like, this is what we do. We create experience when if you want to buy a car from us, it's going to be fantastic. You want to service a car with us, it's going to be fantastic. You want to sell your car? Why go anywhere else? We can serve you in every automotive need you need possible, and you're going to have to create that holistic brand. You're going to have to look at how we turn profit in every area, not just one. When you're singular focused, you're like, well, if I can't make money on the front, I don't want to do it. Yeah, you won't be around as long as you think you will, or you won't buy as many cars as you think you will. And the simple fact is there's too many validation points out in the market, and people aren't as uneducated to what they can get or where they can get it from. So you're not going to find people that are going to be like, oh yeah, so wait a minute, this store will give me this, but you'll give me 4,000 less, but I like you that much. It's not going to happen. This is a battle of inches. Okay. And the battle starts with your brand, your reputation, your training, your coaching, getting the foundation set up properly, and then sticking consistent to it, understanding this is not and here's the other thing that I'm about to jump into, you guys. This is not something that we're going to try, okay? That word should be abolished by the English language. You can't actually try anything, okay? So if you didn't know, in 1980, there was a movie that came out, okay? Little Star Wars ditty, little green guy came out, okay? And he says, there is no try, there is do and there do not. That is a factual statement. And I'm going to test all of you guys right now. For some of you guys, if you're watching this, if you're reviewing it, is try to bite your finger. Just try to do it. You can't. Because the moment you apply the finger into your mouth or apply pressure, you're doing it. You're not trying it. So when we say we're going to try something, that's basically a false hope that we've put into our brain that as long as we make an attempt at it, but we don't actually do anything, we tried. No, you're setting yourself up to fail mentally before you even start out. Either do it or don't do it. Don't use the word try. You're putting a mental failure block into your own brain. Number 2, you guys, you can't sit there and do this or attempt this at all for 90 days or 6 months. This has got to be something like we're doing this for no short of 3 years. Okay. Good, bad, or indifferent, because we're going to make it work. Did you try or attempt to run a store for 3 months or 6 months? Hell, I think even if a GM gets a job, he gets like a year and a half before they cook him in most cases, because they're going to say, okay, what is he doing? Is he changing anything? Is he improving anything? You can't just like hypothetically say we're going to do something for 90 days or 6 months and think you're going to get any results from it. It takes a good 6 months to 12 months to build a foundation of any brand to start seeing anything bear fruit. That doesn't mean you're not getting results. It means we have to get ourselves out into the social verse, the search media, social media. We have to get ourselves out into the community. Like we have to be like an oak tree. And instead of being like a palm tree, which has a deep root that goes straight down, it's great to put around pools because it doesn't spider out, doesn't go into your pool. No, we have to be an oak tree where we go deep and we go wide. We've got to be everywhere. And it's a harder job now than it ever has been because we have instant gratification. We have instant dynamics of social media and buy it now buttons. We have a lot of things that, that are going against us. And you have to ask yourself, do you understand how to put that together? Do you know what the consistency looks like? Do you have the accountability person? Do you have the time? That's where a coach comes in, right? And then it can't be just anybody. Like, I'm all for lots of different coaches in different areas, but they've got to be invested more than you in your success. They need to care more, as much, if not more than you. For the simple fact is, if they don't care about your business failing or succeeding, and they only care about that paycheck or, partnering up for the sake of saying they got a client, you're going to fail. Why? Because they're not going to have those tough conversations. They're not going to challenge you. They're going to turn into yes men. And if you're looking for a yes man, then don't get a coach or consultant. Just hire someone to come in and pat you on the back every time you do something. Coaches and consultants should be challenging you. You should have spirited conversations. You should be growing in different ways so that you can make your team better. If none of you guys have seen something, I urge you guys to go take a look at this. It's the law of the lid. And go watch it on YouTube. It's absolutely fascinating. And 80% of business people find themselves trapped because they put the lid, at let's say it's a 1 through 10, right? And that's the scales of the lids. They've kept themselves at a 6. And so their people can never be more than a 6 because they're holding them back. You've got to constantly be pushing yourself and learning new things so that the higher you get, the more your people can rise. Are you the type of persons that are holding your people back because you're stuck in that we've always done it this way? We're not going to do that. That's not for us. When you say it's not for us, you're really saying it's not for you. But it might be for everybody else, but you would be uncomfortable learning something or changing what you do because you don't want to adapt or change. So don't be those people, right? The people that people follow, the true leaders of any business economy and true business leaders are the ones that are constantly innovating, pushing the envelope, and risking failure to find succession. So you guys, when we're thinking about the Carmaxes and Carvanas of the world, stop trying to duplicate them and create something that they can't compete with, right? They've given you a blueprint of ideas, but if you mimic it exactly, let's just use Carvana because they are a true, they go to your house. There is no brick and mortar. I mean, they have a couple of stores now, but we're talking 2 or 3, I think at this point, maybe 4 across the country. Is if you went to the customer and you offered the same services, what would that have to look like? What scale would you have to do? What investment are you going to make? Because you're not going to make money on this when you first start out, nor did they. So what investment can you risk to get it to that level? But more importantly, if you know they do all these things and they have an online offer and they have an easy inspection and they go to your store, what are you going to offer that's better than what they do? I'll leave you that for a second. What are you going to do that's better than them? Because if you want to compete directly with them and you want to box, then you better be the bigger, stronger, faster boxer. Now, I'm about to tell you guys something, and I'm going to explain something to you guys that I don't think we have to box with Carvana. Okay? I think we can do a little Muhammad Ali. We can bounce around and we can wear them out. And this is why. Carvana, it's all great. Everybody, and I'm telling you, I work across this country with stores. And everybody is looking to want to do something locally. They want to transact locally. We make it impossible to do so because we put up roadblocks, stop signs, speed bumps, whatever word or terminology that works best for you. This is what we do because, again, we go back into our comfort shell or our comfort zone. Is like, well, we never did it like that. We're not going to do it like that. It's got to be done our way. That's ignorance. Okay, you're leaving business out on the table because you want to be comfortable rather than you want to then grow. If you're not growing your customer base in both acquisition, service, and sales, you're actually going backwards and you're dying a slow death. It's like a death of 1,000 cuts. So you have to decide if you're going to build a brand, you want to make more profit, gain trust. You want to buy more cars that can be profitable, become part of the community and show them an easier way to do it, a more trustworthy way, a more convenient way. If you don't understand how to do that, that's all right, guys. Give me a call. Say, hey, you know what? We need to get those street smarts over here in this area. We need Smartwolf Consulting because I will tell you, I don't have a client that we failed. We've increased results in every single store that I've worked in, simply put, because we don't focus on just buying cars. If you want to learn how to buy cars, go call some of the other consultants out there. They can teach you that in real quick. Probably in 60 days, they can teach you how to buy a car. It's not that difficult. Okay. You know what? I'll take it back. Call me. I'll teach you how to buy a car, okay, in 60 days. And if that's all you want to learn how to do, okay, I'll make it easy for you. But if you actually want to build a brand and be a consistent measurement tool of driving traffic to your store, then you can't just buy cars. There are so many other pieces in this that have to be worked properly, built properly, and consistently executed, that it's not about buying cars. Actually, buying cars is the middle part of the step. It's not even the result. I know you're probably thinking to yourself right now, wait a minute, how's that the middle? It is. Acquiring the car is not the completion of the process. Okay, it's just the middle. So when you think about that, you guys, if you want to get better at used cars, then you better be educating your people on how to get better at used cars. First is finding people that understand used cars, that do it, innovate, constantly are learning, spending the time you don't have to get better and understanding the market so that they can give that time to you. 2, you got to have the right softwares. Lots of software out there. I think there's probably 90 instant cash offer tools out there, and evaluation tools. There's probably a dozen. Recognizably, there's probably 5. Okay, and you got to figure out which one's the best for your store. Now, me personally, I have a couple that I personally think are ones that you'd want in your store because 1, I've seen them work. 2, they're affordable, and 3, more importantly, they are easy for both the customer and your people to engage with and use. Because that's the other thing is we can't just get something that's cheap if it's really hard to understand. We can't get something that's super expensive if it's too hard to integrate. You've got to find that balance, right? That's also where somebody with industry knowledge that constantly learns and evolves these tools. That's the thing that I hope that everybody's learning from these other brands, these big box brands, is you're not Carmax and you're not Carvana, and you're not going to replicate them because none of you guys are going to put billions of dollars into building this, right? If you were going to put that type of money into it, you would have already. So what you have to do is you have to figure out how to do it in a different way. You got to create a different concept. You have to create a different disruption that makes you relevant in the conversation, trustworthy in the community, likable by the customers, okay, and undeniable in the experience you provide. If you do that, you have got a real shot at monetizing, profiting from your community by acquisition, then sales, then service, and increasing your customer base for future business, but not to mention expanding past your local community and then creating a much bigger community with the social or search media and things that are out there in the verse, because then you become a brand. You become somebody people are talking about, seeing. But at the end of the day, okay, it takes consistency. It takes hard work. It takes grit. So all of the people that are sitting there listening to different calls, different podcasts, different, things like that. And they're like, oh, we've got a tool that's going to do it for you. I hope to God you're not buying the hype. There's no tool that's going to magically acquire you cars. If all of you guys are listening to things and people are saying like, oh yeah, I've done this 100 times and it's great. Okay. Do they have the proof and the results, right? Or do they just make claims to fame? If you're listening to people that say like, let's go look at Carmax and Carvana. Why? You don't have the bandwidth to build what they bid or the budget. Why are we talking about something that we have no control over and we can't actually replicate? All you have to do is say, what do I need for my store? Where do I want to get? And you got to bring someone in that says, let's go to war together. Let's make it happen. Get a coach, get a consultant, get somebody, get an accountability expert, and get someone in there that knows what they're doing. But more importantly, even if you say, you know what, man, I appreciate all the stuff you say, Darrell, but I don't need a consultant. Great. Go do it on your own. Just make a commitment. But then you're going to have a process. You're going to have to be consistent. When I say consistent, processes are black and white. Guidelines are gray. Processes have to be, they get followed every single time. There's no exception. Whether you're the owner of the store or a customer walking in, you go through the same process. It is black and white so that you can measure it. Once you measure it, you have to manage it. And then you need to have a compelling message. Then you need to figure out, what is your brand going to be? I get to work with some really incredible clients. And I will tell you, of all the clients I work with, I have a couple that they're working towards it. They're getting better at it. I have one that has created a culture of having a fun experience, a trustworthy experience. Everyone's involved in it, and now they're putting acquisition into the mix. I'm so excited about it because they already have the pieces in the community, and now we're adding a piece, right? So you have to ask yourself, where do you want to see your business, your store 3 years from now when it comes to used car acquisition as a business model? And in the community, and then how do you sustain it? What's your forecast? What do you see? How are you getting there? If you don't know, let's have a chat. You guys, this is another episode of Street Smarts powered by Smartwolf Consulting. So we're leaving you today with a couple things. We're leaving you with one, okay? Whatever you do when you hear all these shows, okay, that are out there talking about what other people are doing, okay, take a moment, turn off the noise, and stop worried about what other people are doing, and let's plan something that you want to do and you're capable of doing that's going to make you successful. Stop worrying about what other people are doing. Number 2, okay, every great, okay, the GOATs, the ones that are awesome, the ones that like are undeniable and beat everybody, all have coaches. And when you don't have a coach, you're essentially saying that you're like, you know it all, and that you're willing to hold your people back because you don't want to bring someone in that challenges what you do to make sure it is where you're going. And number 3, you guys, we've got all the reasons out there, all the negativity and all the reasons why we can't do things. Let's find people and put them in our circle that tells us that we can do things. Let's not worry about others. Let's not sit there and compare to others. Let's build the best brand we can for where we're going and what we're doing with our team today. I hope you guys learned at least one thing today on Street Smarts powered by Smartwolf Consulting. I look forward to the next episode. And if you guys need anything, by all means, hit me up. You guys, let's build something magical and undeniable.